I'm Nolan Bushnell, founded Atari and Chuck E. Cheese, and we're here in Santa Monica. I want to talk today about three things: creativity, passion, and neurogenesis. In some ways, they're all linked, but in some very unique ways. First thing I want to talk about really is passion, because passion is a very, very powerful human characteristic. At Atari, at Chuck E. Cheese, at all my companies, I hire for one characteristic: passion. Because if you're passionate, you can learn anything and become excellent at it. Passion is really the driving force for life. And so the question is, how do you get passion? Well, you get passion because you want to make your life a better place. You get passion because somehow it's part of your inner drum, your inner feeling. But what you really want to be able to do is take control of your life. You are the master of your soul. You are the director, the architect of your life. And once you fully feel like that, you can become passionate because you are in control. Now let's talk about curiosity. Curiosity is also a driver because it makes you want to learn things. If you're curious about something, if it's interesting to you, then all of a sudden, the knowledge you get is so much stickier. That is, it goes into your brain and it stays there. Curiosity is the second driver of a happy life. And it turns out that curious people who are feeding their curiosity are happy people. Happy people become passionate. Passionate people become happy. And so, a few little tips. Exercise aggressively for 20 minutes at the beginning of every day. Now, when I say aggressively, you need to get to 80% of your heart rate for 20 minutes. That's all. That's plenty. And what that does is it floods your brain with a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of that as building blocks for dendrites, which is part of your brain. Everything that you learn after you exercise aggressively like that, some of it is put into hardware, not just software. And so exercise, very important thing. Number two, do different things. When you do different things, you're creating new pathways. And whenever you create new pathways, you're building new brain cells. Now, you say, but I play chess, or I do the New York Times crossword puzzle. Hey, doesn't count. It was neurogenic when I first learned how to play chess. So from the time I started playing chess for about 3 months, chess was neurogenic. Now it's not. It's a habit. Sudoku, people are saying, hey, build your brain, play Sudoku every day. No. You play it a couple of months, you get some neurogenesis, next. After that, very, very low. So you get maximum neurogenesis if you, in fact, have some physical construct along with the mental. Learn how to play the guitar, Tai Chi, yoga. But all these things take, figure 3 months, then you do it. So what we're looking for is a happy, productive life. The more you learn about more different things, you get lucky. Because opportunities happen to the people who are prepared. Lucky things happen to the people who have diverse skill sets, because you never know exactly what the world's going to present to yourself. When I started the video game business, it happened because I did some random things. I worked at an amusement park when I was putting myself through college. I learned about the game business. I was in a engineering program that hooked computers up to video screens. These were all accidents. Neurogenesis turns out to also be a driver for happiness. Now, driver for happiness means that if you're having interesting things, doing interesting things, those are all building your brain, but they're also creating happiness for you. Let's talk about hiring people. I said, passion is what I hire for. Some of the best hires that I ever made were waiters or waitresses that I found to be passionate about what they were doing, just waiting tables, serving me a beer. And I'd say, come work for me. I'll pay you twice what you're currently making. And in every case, those employees became superstars because of one characteristic: passion. It drives everything. But then what you have to understand is, how do you keep passion alive? Do you know that companies very often crush passion? Why? A lot of corporate structure is repetitive. Repetitive things crush passion, crush creativity. So what you have to constantly do is make sure that the work is interesting, and that as they get better at it, just like a video game, you gotta give new challenges. We found out that people wouldn't play video games if they got too easy. And they got too easy because they kept doing it. Business is the same way. And a very interesting thing happens. That's why, well, promoting from within means that you're constantly pushing people up. But more than that, you want to pay people what they're worth. And as they gain skills, you need to give them more money. The last thing you want is for somebody to take them out of your company for a new position elsewhere. If somebody else is willing to pay your employees more to come to work for them, it's you as a manager that has failed, and failed big time. Make sure that your company is the fairest, the most egalitarian in the world. Focus on outcomes, not any other characteristic, not who their parents were, not where they went to college. What do they do today, and are they excellent? When you are passionate, and when you're working for a company, and the company is paying you well, but are they paying you well in dollars alone? Or do we really want to have a reward in additional skills? Because additional skills are not transitory. It's teaching someone to fish as opposed to giving them fish. What we really want to do is make sure that people have good ethics. We want them to have good self-confidence. Because one of the things that is absolutely important in entrepreneurship and so many things is you want to be able to have the confidence that you can solve the problems that you're going to be dealing with. Solving problems. That's really where we want to get the neurogenesis, the self-confidence, and the skills. Because if you know nothing about what you're doing, do you know nothing? Enough that you can research it before you make these decisions. The worst thing that can happen is if you know not that you know not. You need to know when you know, and know when you don't know. And that's the most important thing. I guess the other area of how are you going to pack your skill bag? You can do it through education, high school, college, sustained learning throughout. You can do it through study. Today, you can learn an awful lot about almost anything just through the internet. All you have to do is put in the time. Taking different jobs. I would find that people who had a lot of different jobs, even if it was from walking dogs to collecting the garbage to, being, a social activist, the more different things, the more different people, the more valuable you were to the company and ultimately to society. Active versus passive. When you watch a lecture, when you watch a video, when you read a book, it's passive. Now think of us in the wild. We're constantly being invaded with data, visuals, sounds, what have you. What do you remember? Turns out that you remember those things that you have to respond to. So questions and answers are important. That's why taking notes in a lecture is important. Going after your notes after the lecture is important. Outlining in a book that you're reading, that's important. That turns a passive activity into an active activity, which means it much more sticky, much more neurogenic. When you're studying something on the web, write it down, click on it, save it to Evernote or one of your aspects. Never research something without clicking and cutting and pasting relevant data into a secondary document. All of that makes the learning much more clear, much more memorable, even if you never look at the document again. That's the way you create memories. That's the way you learn. That's the way you're effective.